Hey everybody, today I have a short video where we're going to be reviewing conditionally rendering a Truthy in React and the Troublesome 0 that shows up in the DOM. So let's hop into the code and understand why this is happening and a couple of easy ways to fix it. Alright, so on the right side here I have VS Code. Basically all I did was do a create React app. I already cleaned it up. I have this components folder over here, which renders out the switch that I'm getting from Material UI. In the app.js, again, I have this cats array. This is the array that we're going to be mocking, pretending it's coming from our server. This is going to be, we'll have two states, right? We're going to have the cats array where we have a list of these cats. We have Garfield, Tom, Puss in Boots, Tigger, and of course we have the cat in the hat. And the other state is basically going to be an empty array. So when we hit our server, we're going to pretend that we got some items back in our array. Otherwise, we're also going to check if we didn't. So then down here, we have some use state, use effects. I'm not going to cover this. Again, I just really want to go over this 0 that shows up in our DOM. So go down here, we have switcher, which is again that component I was showing you earlier. It's just a switch. When we click on it, what's going to end up happening is it loads our Garfield, our Tom, and our other cats. And when we have it false, it's saying that the array that we got back from our server is empty, so we don't have any items in our array. And that's what we're doing here in this use effect. So let me go ahead, let's make this smaller because we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. But what we do need is down here in this code. So let me clean this up. So we hit our array, or we hit our, we hit the server, and the server said that it doesn't have any cats. And we're like, oh, interesting. Fascinating. We got this 0. Let's look at our code. So here we have our test array.length. And when we have something, when our test array has something, then we want to render out the cats, right? Well, the code looks right, but why are we getting this 0? Let's say we hit the server again, and cool, this time we get cats. We got cats for days. We got Garfield, Tom, Puss in Boots, Tigger, and Cat in the Hat. Awesome, sweet, that's what I want. So this code is working. We refresh our page, and again, guess what? It's okay. I don't want this 0. So why is this 0? Why are we getting 0 in our DOM? Why is this showing up? A lot of people might think, well, because it's an array and we're doing length and it's 0, but that's not really the real reason why we're getting 0 back. So yes, test array.length is 0, but the real reason why we're getting 0 is because of the double ampersand. So with the double ampersand, what ends up happening is it returns, if this is false, it's returning this back immediately. But there's a difference with what's going on here. Test array.length is 0, right? We don't have anything. If we had an item in our array, let's say 2 items, right? It's going to say, cool, we have 2. It's going to return 2, which is 2 items, and then render this out. But because it's 0, 0 is very special. 0 is it's a valid DOM node. And because 0 is a valid DOM node, and this is false in our test, the double ampersand is going to return that 0 back. And it's going to show in our UI because it's a valid DOM node. So again, because we're using the double ampersand, and the double ampersand is going to return the falsie back immediately. And because this falsie is not actually a Boolean, it's not true or false, it's 0, it's going to return the 0 back and render on the DOM. So now that we know why this 0 is, what a kitty cat. Now that we, such high quality video right here. Now that we know why this 0 is showing up, Again, why? Because it's a valid DOM node and the double ampersand is returning whatever. No, cat on keyboard, cat on keyboard. Hold on. Oh, jeez. Get off the keyboard, kitty cat. Oh, what is going on? Oh, no. Oh, no. Sonic! What? Oh, jeez. Sorry, you guys. I'm gonna leave this in here. I don't know what's going on. The console logs here. Cats aren't really good coders. Alright. Hold on. Time out. Okay, kitty cat is off the keyboard. Okay, we're back. Okay. Alright, so again, so now that we know that the double ampersand returns immediately whatever is on the left hand side, and because test array.length is 0, 0 is a valid DOM node, we get 0 here. How do you fix it? So if we do, there's a couple of different ways to do this. So one way is to do array.test.length is to turn this into a Truthy. And how do we do that? Let's compare it to 0. So let's say test array.length is greater than 0. So if test array.length is greater than 0, we want to return this. By doing the comparison is greater than 0, now we're casting this as a Boolean. So it's going to be either true or false. So if it's false, which we know false is not a valid DOM node, it's not going to render out this, I think. Let's try it. Ready? Here, let me do a switch. Switch. Oh, whatever. All right. So it fixed it. Cool. Awesome. Great. So that's one way to do it. And again, the reason why this works is because we're comparing it against 0. And what ends up happening here is either we're going to get either a true or false. So if I go, for example, over here. So back in our DOM, or in our console, let's do let array equals an empty array. And then if we do array.length, right now it's 0, right? But we're not going to compare it. We're not going to do our short circuit here. We're going to do is greater than 0. And now all of a sudden, if you see down here, let me do return. Make this a little bit bigger for you guys. So if you can see down here, array.length greater than 0, it's returning a Boolean false. And that's why, again, over here on the right side, that's why this works, because now this comparison in this short circuit right here that we have, and again, apologies, I know I didn't mention source circuit earlier, but that's what this double ampersand does in React. It's basically gonna short circuit, and it's not gonna return whatever we want if it's false. So then going back over here, test array.length is greater than 0, turns this into a Boolean, which now we get either a true or false. So that's why when we click on this load cats array from our server and we get the kitty cats, that's why it's showing up. Because again, is this true or false? Yeah, it's true because we got cats. So okay, cool. Let me re-render everything else, right? But if something goes out, whatever happens, and all of a sudden we don't get anything back, we don't get the 0 in our DOM because now we're doing this comparison and it's returning false. Again, that's why we have down here. That's why that's turned. So we have that's one way of doing it. Also, we have another way. So if we have test array.length, going back to what we had before with the short circuit, you can also use the double ampersand. So what ends up happening with this double ampersand, let me go back over here. Let's load our cats up, right? But going back over to this double ampersand, what this ends up doing is it's like kind of like typecasting, I guess, where it's gonna churn this. If it's a 0, it's going to turn this into a truthy. The double ampersand will convert it into a truthy. So we're saying basically if test.length is true, then we do the double ampersand, this is returned. Otherwise, if this is 0, this double ampersand is going to convert that into a boolean for us. It's going to typecast it into a boolean of false. So if we go back over here, something happened to our server, cool. It's what we want, right? We don't want anything. But if our server is working and we actually get something in our response for our array, it loads it. We don't, then we don't have nothing to worry about. Again, so we have two different ways of removing that 0, that valid DOM node. Remember, removing that 0 from our actual UI. So we can either do a comparison here, which we compare, make sure the length is greater than 0, and this comparison is going to return true or false. Or we can typecast and do the length, and if it's 0, it's going to turn that into false as well. So those are two ways to actually render out, not render out, but not rendering out that 0 in our DOM. So I hope you guys really, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope, it kind of helped you understand why that 0 shows up. Again, I want the key takeaways on why the 0 shows up. Let's just do some notes here. 0 renders to the DOM. First, because 0 is a valid DOM node, right? And because 0 is a valid DOM node and we're using the short circuit, it's going to return immediately the falsy, which is 0. And again, that's why it shows up. So 0 is a valid DOM node. Then we have in conjunction with the short circuit, which is the double ampersand, returns 0, right? So again, 0 renders to the DOM because 0 is a valid DOM node in conjunction with the short circuit. If the 0 is on the left hand side, right? If it's on this side, it's going to return that immediately. And again, because it's a valid DOM node, it shows up on your UI. So if you want that happening, cool. If you don't, we got the couple of fixes that we have, right? Is comparison, right? So comparison, which is basically doing your array dot length, comparing it against 0. This right here ends up turning it into what? It turns it into a truthy. Which then, if it's false, false is not a valid DOM node. So because false is not a valid DOM node, it will not be displayed. False, the word false is not going to be displayed on our UI. And then the other one is doing typecasting, right? Typecasting. And because we typecast to a boolean, we're doing the same thing as we did with the comparison. So again, we have the length of the array. If it's 0, it's turning that 0 into a falsy, which then, because it's a falsy, it's not going to render 0. It's not going to render this because of the short circuit that we're using here. But if we get something back from the array, then yes, it will render as expected. So again, 0, we love it, we hate it. It's a very complicated relationship. So again, thanks you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope it helped. Have a good day. Bye.